Now with the masking dry, I'll saturate the entire sheet again. I'll quickly work some cobalt blue into the background area. This time I've got the board tilted 4 inches forward and raised 2 inches on its left side. And with vertical motions, I'll add in some cobalt green, a bit more on the left side. I don't want the background colors to be uniform or symmetrical. I'll sweep off some of the paint puddles. Then while the background is still wet, I'll work in some rose. I'll blend it in some as I do not want the reds to be too prominent. With a water-loaded brush, I'll sweep some of the still wet paint off of the distant creek bank area. Then I'll work in some cobalt blue in horizontal sweeps, as opposed to the vertical sweeps above the bank. And I'll add in some horizontal streaks of rose. You can see that I like to blend the paints right on the wet, tilted paper. Next, I'll re-wet the bottom 2/3 of the paper. And I'll work in the crick colors. First, the more distant portion. I'll make it a bit greener as I work down and forward. Then in the closest section of the crick, I'll work in the more vivid phthalo green and phthalo blue. I'll work in some transparent yellow. And some cobalt turquoise. I want a variety of colors. I'll sweep some paint puddles off. And I'll darken the distant crick section a bit with some cobalt blue. Applied while the paint is still wet, table salt will create some interesting texture patterns. More puddle management. Then I'll work in some more cobalt turquoise. Applied to still wet paper, the paint's edges will blend with the underlying colors. And I'll work in a streak of yellow up here. Again, all while the underlying paints are still wet. Then I'll tend to the puddles again. As the paper dries, the streaks that I paint in will retain their shapes better. I'll work some highlights in around these ice shapes. And in the distance.